My mother, Hoda Abdel Moneom, a woman in prison now in Al-Qanatir prison in Egypt. A 60 years old lawyer by profession for 40 years. A former member for the Human Rights Council in Egypt. My mother used to defend political prisoners in Egypt. When they kidnapped her from the house, she has been in forced disappearance for 21 days because of her work. Her address and her work was known to everyone. We are suffering all this year. The family can't see her. My little sister was pregnant and she was trying to visit her. Hours in cold winter, standing trying to visit her mother for a few minutes without possibility. My mother now is in inhumane conditions in the prison. She used to work to improve the prisoners' conditions when she was in the Human Rights Council.
Since the change of government in July 2013, human rights situation in Egypt have deteriorated significantly. In the past 2 years, this has been accompanied by a sharp rise in attacks against civil society actors and human rights defenders, especially lawyers who are defending the increasing number of political prisoners. Egyptian government increasingly threatens, harasses and persecutes human rights defenders in Egypt as well as abroad. The government's actions, including arresting, arbitrarily detaining, torturing, restricting travels, threatening any person who defends the human rights of persons who express views that are not supported by the current regime. The Egyptian authorities' actions make it dangerous for human rights defenders to cooperate with the UN and African Union human rights mechanisms. The authorities' arrest of lawyers defending political prisoners constitutes not only an attack on human rights defenders, but denies those who are already being persecuted the right to adequate legal representation. The right to fair trial, found in Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and Article 7 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, is violated by Egypt when hundreds of lawyers representing political prisoners are arbitrarily detained and thereby prevented from representing their clients in court. Mrs. Hoda is an example of a lawyer who was defending individuals held in prison for exercising their human rights. She was arrested because of this activity and is languishing in prison in inhumane and degrading condition. There is no evidence that the detention of Hoda and others was based on any legal grounds, which means that their arrest is inconsistent with Egypt's obligations under international law and raises the question of state responsibility for intentionally wrongful act. Egypt should ensure that lawyers are able to perform their duties without intimidation or harassment. Obstruction of their work is unjust. We hope that during the UPR, member states will question Egypt about these attacks on lawyers. Egypt should ensure that lawyers are able to perform their duties without intimidation.